In 1807, the most powerful army on the planet was invincible. Napoleon had conquered nearly all of Europe, but 7 years later, everything fell apart. And the reason wasn't Russia, it wasn't Waterloo, it was Spain. This is the war almost no one tells you about. The war that broke Napoleon. By 1807, Napoleon controlled more territory than any European leader since the Roman Empire. France, the Low Countries, Italy, most of Germany, Poland. Only 2 countries still stood against him, Britain to the north and Portugal to the west. Napoleon had a plan to crush the British, block them from all European trade, but Portugal refused to cooperate, and to reach Portugal, he had to cross Spain. In October 1807, Napoleon signed a secret treaty with Spain to invade Portugal together. But the real plan was something else. French soldiers began entering Spain. First a few thousand, then tens of thousands. By March 1808, there were 100,000 French troops inside the country. And then Napoleon did the unthinkable. He summoned the King of Spain and his heir to a French city, forced them to abdicate, and put his own brother Joseph on the throne. On the 2nd of May, 1808, the people of Madrid rose up. The French repression was brutal. Goya painted the executions. But something had broken. Spain would never accept a French king. The Spanish didn't have a modern army. But they had something more useful, the terrain. Small groups of peasants, soldiers, and priests began attacking French supply lines in mountains and rural roads. They invented a new word for this tactic: guerrilla, little war. In July 1808, a Spanish army defeated an entire French force at the Battle of Bailén. 20,000 Frenchmen surrendered. It was the first time Napoleon's army had lost a battle in open field. Across Europe, the news echoed. Napoleon was not invincible. Napoleon came to Spain himself with 200,000 soldiers, recaptured Madrid, and returned to Paris thinking the problem was solved. It wasn't. While Napoleon was thinking about Russia, the British landed in Portugal. A general named Arthur Wellesley, later known as the Duke of Wellington. Wellington did something brilliant. He built 3 lines of secret fortifications around Lisbon, the lines of Torres Vedras. When the French army arrived to take Portugal, they found an impossible wall. They sat there for months, no food, no supplies, harassed day and night by guerrillas. They had to retreat. In 1812, Napoleon made his biggest mistake. He invaded Russia with 600,000 men. To do it, he had to pull troops out of Spain. Wellington saw his chance. In July 1812, he defeated the French at the Battle of Salamanca. 40 minutes of combat, 20,000 French casualties. Madrid was liberated for the first time in 4 years. Meanwhile, Napoleon was freezing in Russia, losing most of his Grande Armée. 2 fronts, 2 catastrophes. In June 1813, Wellington trapped the French army near Vitoria. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a collapse. The French fled, leaving behind cannons, treasure, and 5 years of plunder. Wellington chased the broken army to the Pyrenees. And then he did something no British army had done in 1,000 years. He entered France. In April 1814, with Wellington advancing from the south, the Russians from the east, and half of Europe against him, Napoleon abdicated. The history books talk about Russia. They talk about Waterloo. But Napoleon himself knew the truth. In exile, he said, "That cursed Spanish war was what destroyed me." Spain didn't win that war with a better army. They won it by refusing to surrender. And they taught the world a lesson that would change warfare forever. An empire can fall not from one battle, but from 1,000 small wounds. If you liked this video, subscribe to The Forgotten Stories. Every Sunday, a piece of history they didn't teach you in school. Which war should we cover next? Drop it in the comments. See you next time.